President Trump calls the placing of an FBI informant into his 2016 presidential campaign Spygate. He says it's a deep state scandal worse than Watergate. Well, joining us with some insights is former political consultant for the Trump campaign, Sam Nunberg. Last March, Mr. Nunberg testified before a federal grand jury as part of Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian campaign collusion. Sam, thanks so much for joining us today. So, when you worked on the campaign, did you ever have any contact with alleged FBI informant Stephen Halper?
No, not at all. I did not have any contact, nor did anybody in the FBI try to contact me. However, a good friend of mine, Michael Caputo, believes that there were other FBI informants trying to co-opt him and infiltrate through him.
Oh, so what do you think of the President's Spygate claim? So do you think there's something to it then?
Look, I certainly do. And I think that we have to look at this from a longer point of view, from a subjective point of view. And unfortunately, I had to read James Comey's book because I've been called to the grand jury and I'm at least a cooperating witness. They certainly considered the Trump campaign, Donald Trump, to be mafia, to be mobsters. And even if you look at the way Robert Mueller is treating Trump associates, he's treating us like we're the mafia. Interestingly enough, that is an arbitrary and capricious decision by Mueller and Rosenstein, because, you know, even with Robert Mueller, I always love to point to the fact that when he ran the Boston U.S. Attorney's Office, he let Whitey Bulger get away with murder, literally and figuratively. And then you have the FBI, who looks at Trump with such contempt, much like much of the Republican Party does, by the way, such as people as John McCain and the Bushes. And you have them trying to infiltrate the campaign to set up a case where they were then going to prosecute Donald Trump. Because remember, James Comey has said, and he even has, when he talks about the multiple political calculations he made during that election, he said that he assumed Hillary was going to win. So first they prove the Russians did it. Then they're going to say the Russians delivered the election. Then they're going to say Trump knew about this and wanted this. And therefore, Trump was part of this grand conspiracy and he should be impeached. So it was very, very important when Clapper on his book tour, he then says, he makes a statement that in his calculation, the 75,000 votes or 80,000 votes that separated Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, which I believe was divine providence from God, but he believes that those Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, those three states were all delivered to Trump. This is what Clapper said, were all delivered to Trump because of Russian Facebook ad buys. If he actually believes that, and he was the director of national intelligence, it's very, very scary because that is so rudimentary, simplistic, and frankly, stupid. It's like a grade level analysis to give that it would scare me that this guy was the director of national intelligence. But to tell you the truth, he doesn't believe that. He's lying. And going to his book, if you look at what Comey's book says, Donald Trump, he's just contemptible. He doesn't have the ethics, and he's not right to hold the office of the president. So that's their narrative there. And then you have Clapper's book saying the Russians delivered him the election. They're also going to try to get Michael Cohen to flip to go after President Trump's finances. And once again, Mueller, Sessions, and Rosenstein are treating Donald Trump like he's a mafioso figure. They like to say they have prosecutorial discretion. No, this is selective, it's arbitrary, it's capricious. They don't like him, they don't think he should be in the office, and they think that they know better than you and me, we that voted for him.
What do you think of these reports that have come out recently that Mueller is now investigating possible obstruction of justice on the part of the president concerning Attorney General Sessions and his recusal from that Russia investigation? Where do you think all that's going to lead? What do you think of it?
That's another avenue they're trying to go. They're trying to find anything. It's the kitchen sink strategy of trying to find any way to impeach Donald Trump. Donald Trump is entitled, as President of the United States, constitutionally, to have any discussion with Jeff Sessions. He is entitled to ask Jeff Sessions to unrecuse himself from this investigation. Whether Sessions should have recused himself at all, I don't believe he should have, because Why would and this goes to the way Democrats and Republicans are, and Sessions, for a reason, was always a backbencher in the Senate. Loretta Lynch should have recused herself from the Clinton investigation, right? Anybody with any sensibility. So why would Sessions have to recuse himself? But in any sense, he recused himself from the whole thing. And there is no problem for Trump to ask Sessions to reconsider that decision, because that decision greatly affects the presidency. This is the same government that went and attacked the Tea Party. They used the IRS to target the Tea Party. This is them. This is what he's up against.